Be content to act and leave the talking to others. My friends, we see stocks are up a little bit for the day, bonds and gold down a little bit, but Bitcoin is a booming. Check this out, 17.9%. Now, we see finally the price percent oscillator heading up a little bit. This is just one day, the first day of a weekly candle. Derivative oscillator has been losing downward momentum since we saw a bottom. Again, it was only a bottom for a while. Things went a lot lower. But when we saw things hit the $31,000 mark. Now, of course, with today's action, we saw a high of 38. We saw things close around the 32,566 mark. Oh, I'm sorry, that was the open. Things closed at 35,398. So again, nice to see a green candle. It's the first time we have seen a green open box candle since early May. And before that, went back to April, mid-April. So it's good to see. Hopefully, we're going to see a weekly vertical crossover soon. Don't get hyped and bent out of the frame that you missed this. How are you to know? You weren't to know. We're waiting for the weekly vertical crossover. Look how good the last one was to us, somewhere at the $12,000 mark, up to somewhere around the $59,000 mark potentially, or hey, somewhere in between. All that was sweet. So again, if you want to learn about Bitcoin, you need to practice trade Bitcoin. You need to follow these charts with us every day. Let's check out what's going on with the 2-day. The 2-day had crossed over a little ways back. It was very slow in pulling away from the red signal line until, of course, today. Things a booming, moving up first day of this latest 2-day candle, just hammering up. We look at the half day, and of course the half day did cross over nicely. We saw things moving there on the morning of the afternoon of the 21st, morning of the 22nd, just sort of ticking along, then bamming up on Monday the 26th. So that's good to see. It means that maybe Bitcoin has found a bottom. And of course, when we see this 2-day continue to move along and take with it the weekly, we'll let you know when we have the all-important weekly vertical crossover. So that's where we are on Bitcoin. Usually start off with the S&P. We'll go to that now, up 0.25% for the day. Starting the week off, heading up. Price percent oscillator still not crossed over, going up. Derivative oscillator gaining a little bit of upward momentum. Green candle forming. 2-day chart. We had that 2-day crossover going up. Back on Friday the 23rd, first day of this latest 2-day candle is heading up. Look at the derivative oscillator though, still negative, flat and negative. Price percent oscillator is pulling away from the red signal line, first of the latest 2-day candle. And of course we saw in the morning on Thursday the 22nd, we saw that half-day chart crossover up on Friday, up a little bit on Monday. We'll see where this goes. Now that's where we are. And again, divergence is still in effect, still haven't hit where we hit, with the high on the price percent oscillator, meaning, of course, there's some inherent weakness built in here. It is not a timing mechanism, though. It just shows us there's weakness, that there'll be a correction at some point. Isn't there always? Okay, let's move from the S&P 500, go to the NASDAQ. What do we see there? Up just a little bit, 0.08% green candle forming. Price percent oscillator a little more than flat. Derivative oscillator about flat. That's on the weekly. Go to the 2-day. And again, we look at the prior high on the 2-day of 368.48, 368.89. So it is a little bit higher, just barely. And again, that price percent oscillator still heading up. Derivative oscillator, though, check that out. Still negative on the 2-day. What about the half-day? Of course, we had that half-day crossover in the afternoon on Thursday the 22nd, up in the morning on Friday, and then really just sort of a sideways slide is what we're seeing. Going up just a little bit, 0.08. So again, we'll keep an eye on things and see just where these charts are leading us. And again, nice bounce off for, again, this latest weekly vertical crossover going up. And again, it got really tricky in there, did it not? When you had those 2 days of strong down movement, not much of a recovery the 2 days after that, but then these last 3 days have been nice. That's where we are on our 2 stock indexes. Let's move to bonds, down a little bit, starting the week off, down 0.30%. That's not 0.3%, 0.3, 0.3%. We do see price sitting there just above the weekly trend line, a nice strong weekly trend line. And starting off with a slowdown in the up movement, we can see we're not anywhere near the prior high, and that's why we have that red open box. It's not a solid red down. It is a red open box, a slowdown in the up movement. Price percent oscillator lost a little bit of steam, still heading up though. Derivative oscillator has lost steam on that weekly chart. 2-day, we can see where first day of this latest 2-day candle, red spinning top, like the prior red spinning top, representing last week, the 22nd and 23rd, Thursday and Friday. Price percent oscillator still positive, heading down. Derivative oscillator started the week off rotating over negative. What do we see with the half day? Well, up a little bit, sort of sideways in the morning and then dropping off in the afternoon. So again, we'll continue to watch. Derivative oscillators about flat. Price percent oscillator spiking, just continuing to head down as it was. So keep your eye on the prize in particular. If you haven't already cashed out of that 2-day recross, which has been going on quite a while on 20-year U.S. government bonds, then keep your eye on both the price percent oscillator on this 2-day chart and that trend line. Pay close attention to those. Of course, your weekly still okay, but some significant weakening in that 2-day. Now, it hadn't crossed over going down yet, but that derivative oscillator has gone negative on you. So just keep watching if you've not already taken profits in that very successful trade to this point. Okay, let's move on to gold. Gold down 0.24%. So again, not a lot of movement either way in stocks, bonds, or gold today. The big boomer, of course, was Bitcoin. But when we look at gold, what do we see happening? Well, I was hoping all this time for a crossover going up. Now we can see the week starting off red down candle, price percent oscillator pulling away slowly from the red signal line. Just the first day of a 5-day candle, I realize that. But that weakening, we can see derivative oscillator still negative, maybe losing a little bit of downward momentum. What do we see on the 2-day? Pretty laminated there. Pretty laminated. We'll watch and see just what happens when this candle finishes drawing. Maybe it's going to be a 2-day recross going down. Keep your eye on it. Hasn't finished drawing yet. And again, if you want to jump into a short trade, a down trade on gold, then of course do what? Pay attention to a potential recross going down at the close of the market when this candle finishes drawing on Tuesday around 350, 345, 350 in the afternoon. If, of course, particularly if you're a Patreon member and you've taken our training that's provided at any 3 of those levels of support, Options Made Simple, the Charting Wealth Way, think about putting in a practice trade on a put on gold if you want to start learning about gold and how it reacts and how these charts might work. Not saying that's going to be a successful practice trade for you, but it will be a learning one. Part of the problems that I would have with this, just looking at it, is look at the derivative oscillator. It's still positive. Unless there's a significant down move in gold yesterday, tomorrow, you're pretty much laminated on that. That's just sort of a weak reason for getting in to that down move. And what do you still have to push through? You have to push through the 50 period and the 200 period moving average lines, which sometimes can be a floor, can be a support for that level of price. So we'll watch and see. What about the half day? Again, It crossed over going down back in the morning on Monday, the 19th of July, slid sideways a little bit, drop, sideways, drop, and, during the day on Monday, dropping down. So we'll continue to see where gold is going. I'm just ready for it to settle out, head up. But that is not happening yet. That's where we are, folks. As we end the day, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate so much all of our supporters, our Patreon supporters, our book buyers. If you don't have our book, Charting Your Way to Wealth, I have an autographed copy waiting for you. Supercharge your training. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.